As the richest and most populous nation in Europe, Germany is a powerful and affluent nation today. But for a long time, clans and tribes ruled the region, engaging in conflict with one another as frequently as they repulsed invaders. Tribes later evolved into duchies and city-states. The regional splits resulted in an incredibly intricate web of entwined and distinct sources of power. But creating one united Germany was a difficult and protracted task. Furthermore, creating the state did not, by any means, solve the issues facing the German people. Don't forget to subscribe to Ancient History for fascinating insights into the mysteries of the ancient world and captivating historical narratives. About 600,000 years ago, the first humans arrived in the region that would later be known as Germany. But because the inhabitants of pre-Roman Germany were illiterate and did not leave written records, we know very little about them. Germany was ruled by the group known as the Celts during the Late Bronze Age, but by 700 BCE, the Germanic tribes from northern Germany and Scandinavia were posing a threat, and finally they displaced them. The first mention of the Germanic people in written history comes from their interactions with the Roman legions and their military leader, Julius Caesar. In 55 BCE, Caesar established his reputation by subduing Gaul. Rome drew the territory's border at the Rhine and included it permanently in the Roman Empire's domain. Furthermore, he gave the region beyond the Germania River a name, seemingly appropriating the term from the Gaulish language. The Romans seemed to have an insatiable thirst for conquest. Major rivers make for reasonable borders, though, and for centuries the Rhine was Rome's de facto frontier due to this undeniable topographical reasoning. Roman and Germanic cultures constructed border cities and fortifications, engaged in trade. Furthermore, the empire forged close ties with certain indigenous tribes while engaging in conflicts with others. But the legions would later come to regret operating behind the Rhine's natural barrier. Emperor Augustus made an attempt to enlarge his realm in 9 AD, but his general Varus was soundly defeated at the Battle of the Teutoburg Forest. Arminius, a Germanic youth raised in Rome, who deceived the Roman legions into falling into a trap, was the mastermind behind the victory. Almost 2 millennia later, Arminius is still revered as a national hero in Germany. Rome made no further significant attempts to enlarge Germania after then. However, the opposite was untrue. Rather, Germanic tribes moved into Roman territory and were largely responsible for the fall of the once powerful empire. One tribe, the Visigoths, overthrew the Roman Empire in Western Europe by sacking Rome. During this process, they were exposed to Roman culture and the majority of them became Christians. The rise and evolution of the Holy Roman Empire marked a significant chapter in European history, characterized by the consolidation of Germanic tribes under the leadership of the Franks. From the Merovingian dynasty's inception, with King Clovis, to Charlemagne's imperial reign, the empire unified diverse territories into a single political entity. Despite its grandiose title, the Holy Roman Empire faced internal strife and external challenges, including conflicts with the papacy and Italian city-states, as well as devastation wrought by the Black Death. Nevertheless, its legacy endures through cultural contributions, such as the printing press and the reformist movements catalyzed by figures like Martin Luther, which ultimately shaped the landscape of Western civilization. Prussia was one of the new Protestant states to come out of the war. The tiny rural region was heavily militarized, and it used its skilled armed forces and strategic diplomacy to seize control of a large portion of Germany. But it quickly found itself up against the heart of historic German Catholic authority, Austria. Prussia embraced a model of enlightened absolutism under Frederick the Great. Frederick forbade political independence on a personal level. On the other hand, he supported equal treatment for minorities and the sciences. Great works of art were also generated by this approach, such as Johann Wolfgang von Goethe's poetry and Johann Sebastian Bach's music. Otto von Bismarck served as Prussia's prime minister in the late 19th century. Even though the Kaiser continued to have technical authority over him, Bismarck oversaw national strategy and worked to bring Germany together under Prussian rule. He was successful in a string of battles that ended in the Franco-Prussian War of 1871 to 1872. Thus, the German Empire was re-established and brought together. It was the richest and most populous nation in all of Europe. Kaiser Wilhelm, though, believed that Germany was not given the credit it deserved. He was especially worried that the British and French empires would keep him from building profitable trade routes and a vast colonial empire. In hindsight, Wilhelm's Germany adopted a foreign strategy that seems too hostile. It challenged French hegemony in Morocco and sowed discontent throughout the French colony. It also made an effort to build a sizable navy of its own in an effort to challenge the might of the Royal Navy. Lastly, it formed an alliance with Austria, which in turn incited Russia by endorsing the Habsburgs' aspirations in the Balkans and Eastern Europe. These actions had a part in the conflict that is currently known as World War I. The actual war was a protracted, brutal conflict. Russia was forced out of the Entente coalition by the Germans, who saw tremendous success on the Eastern Front. But after that, the war became a drawn-out and seemingly aimless conflict. It lost more than 2 million soldiers in the process, primarily as a result of the deadly standoff that developed in Belgium and France. All in all, it was the most catastrophic conflict the continent had ever witnessed. Germany was compelled to submit when America entered the war in 1917. President Woodrow Wilson of the United States desired a just and equitable peace settlement that would enable the defeated parties to restore their reputations and revive their economies. Sadly, Germany was forced to accept a dehumanizing peace imposed by the British and French. They had them give up all of their colonies and cede substantial portions of German-populated territory to their neighbors, especially the recently established Czechoslovakia. They also forced the losers to pay enormous reparations. France captured the Ruhr industrial heartland and hampered the German economy when they refused to pay. The result of this procedure was that many people were filled with rage and made promises to exact revenge. It's understandable that the democratic Weimar regime, which emerged victorious from the war, demonstrated instability in these conditions. From the outset, the new administration was held accountable for the shortcomings of its forerunners. Still, they had done nothing to contribute to the nation's defeat in the war or its subsequent misfortune and shame. Because of the atrocities of World War I, democracy was at risk at that time everywhere in the world. Between 1929 and 1939, liberal democracy was once more impacted by the start of the world downturn. The Weimar Republic faced opposition from communists on the left and Nazis on the right during its brief and turbulent existence. A racist and expansionist government, led by dictator Adolf Hitler, took its place in 1933. The Nazi regime started a vast rearmament program and rebuilt the economy under his direction. Hitler went one step further in his challenge to the Versailles Treaty by attempting to retake German-speaking regions using both force and diplomacy. Sadly, the majority of people in the world chose to remain silent and let Nazi Germany gain prominence, thinking that Hitler would be appeased if the unjust aspects of the peace accord were undone. We now refer to that as appeasement, a failing policy. But in the end, all attempts to avert conflict were unsuccessful. Germany started a Second World War. This battle turned out to be far more destructive. In the process, the Nazi administration committed acts of mass extermination against several populations, the most significant of which being the Jewish community residing in the conquered regions. Before the Allies toppled the government in 1945, 6 million helpless Jews were killed. Germany was divided between the winners. The Soviet Union ruled communist East Germany. The German Democratic Republic was the name of the eastern ally of the Soviet Union. The Federal Republic of Germany, a democratic and capitalist state, dominated